Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show, training our horses and miniature cows in ranch versatility. Penning Rusty and Susie, our bull and heifer. Roping Rusty with Morgan horse, Semi. Training Eve to drive cart. Training Eve to work over her haunches with a motor cow simulator. Training Eve to lay down. Training Eve to harness, pull a log. Training Semi to harness, pull a log on turf. Jumping at liberty to music, making our Morgan horses our partners. Training Eve on a cow roping simulator. Training on our driveway, which is covered by sand, so we have a straight track. Stepping over poles, jumping over crossbar jumps. Training in our trail obstacles area. Semi on the big steps. Morgan horse Sadie doing obstacles rainlessly. Morgan horse Sadie being trained to drive a cart. Mini Zebu heifer Susie being trained to drive a cart. Bull Rusty learning to pull a harrow. Sparky tries obstacles, part 2.
Very good. In the past, we've had a tarp in that box, and we fill it with water. And wow, is that a challenge. A much different challenge to ask a horse to step down from that bridge into the very same square that has water in it. That could be frustration, it could be investigation. It's his way of saying, let's see, what is this thing I'm standing on?
With his history, that's what he does when he's frustrated. Nope, don't get your foot in there. He came very close to just hitting me in the face with his big head.
Now,
because he is frustrated.
I understand. One other way that I've learned, and actually I learned this from the very same vet that vetted out your horse, is to get a horse to stay away from your space with their head. Visual. I've seen that very same vet walk up to one of my young horses who was definitely in a space. He didn't even have a halter on. He just took his hand and he went like this to the eyes, and the horse focused on that and walked away. Now, at first you might want to couple it with a little bit of on the chest with your quirt, but then eventually no lead line, no quirt, just the visual cue of you need to back away from my space, or you need to go right, or you need to go left. They respond quite well to visual cues with training.
Let's see. Obviously, that's...
Yes, I can with just a bolt keep that up against it. I honestly haven't had that problem yet, but every horse is a new challenge, and I do what I can to make my obstacles safe.
Okay. Come on.
Now, yes, can you stop him?
Good.
Yes, and the visual cue, since you do have a quirt in your hand, could be this, too. Back and forth with the top of your quirt, across his eye, like a windshield wiper motion. You may or may not find that to be a technique that works. But from my experience and from watching many show on RFD TV, many different horses, many different trainers, you need to have that grab bag of techniques. Right. You need to see what works with what horsenality. And, of course, Sparky's a different horsenality from any of the other horses that we've worked with here. Every horse is a different horsenality. So learn as many techniques as you can and use them and see what works. Now, I'll tell you that Bruce Griffin will claim that there is one foolproof technique, and it takes a lot of practice, and I believe he would agree with me on this, and that is disengage the back legs. Disengage that hind end. No matter what problem you're having with your horse, the safest way to deal with it is disengage the hind end. Get those back legs to cross over each other, and then get his focus. Reason being, according to Bruce, and it's logical, I kind of agree with him, if a horse is disengaged in the hind end, they cannot rear, they cannot bolt, they cannot back, they cannot do any of those things that by nature as a prey animal they are equipped to do. So you need to get a push button on disengaging that hind end, including out on the trail. If you're having a problem, if you can do it fast enough, before they've come completely right-brained and completely stiff, disengage that hind end with the proper cue that your horse has learned, and you have a handle on safety.
Okay.
Well, I feel like 3 obstacles done successfully with improvement is good for today. Do you agree?
It is very good. I'm going to do a couple more just to see how he responds. He was so much calmer in this box that I want to take advantage of that moment.
And you're going to try to turn him?
No, I was just going to have him walk straight through right here.
Okay, from each direction.
This is the short end, and he's kind of a long horse. So he has to get his feet in a bit. And because he tends to stand stretched out, anything that'll help his hind legs closer to his front legs.
And in front of you is a big tree. Now, what happens if you go the other direction? Which one would you expect him to be calmer in?
Oh, this way.
Yes, me too.
So we'll see if he can handle that other direction. This big tree has a tarp on it, which many horses would look at as something that's very scary. Good boy.
Yeah, he's looking to you for direction. Okay. That's what I see with his body language, with his eyeball.
Yeah, so I don't want to quit quite yet because he's now calm and listening, and I don't want to push him into something he's going to be upset by, but I do want to see.
How about the uneven parallel bar straight ahead of you? Walk over them.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that they are uneven, and that can be very spooky to a horse. They have to know where their feet are.
Yep. So he's...
And then the yoke trees themselves are a serpentine tool.
It's pretty different than he was when I walked him out at the beginning.
You have his focus.
You can take a look at these ropes. Now, he's not a horse that's overly worried about things coming down on top of him, luckily.
Now the caution tape curtain is a little bit more obvious. He may or may not be spooked by the material or the color. Do you feel like you want to try it?
Okay, we're going to take a look.
There's a deer in the corridor there.
I see.
He's checking it out. Good investigation, but a little bit more challenging. Yes, it looks more like a shield rather than a curtain to him because it's so thick, so dense. See, back here in this Minmore Farms obstacles area, we're on a creek bank and have a lot of critters. Deer and coyotes and bobcats and squirrels and rodents of all sorts, so it's challenging in itself.
He can put his head through it. He's not upset. One good thing about him is it's pretty obvious when he is upset. There's the head tossing and he's now showing signs of being more upset because he's pawing the ground. But he stopped on his own. Okay, we're going to walk around and look at it from the other side.
Now, the pawing the ground, as I said, that could be a sign of frustration, but in another respect, it could be his way of saying, I have to investigate this, because if he was really frustrated, he might most naturally try to flee. So pawing the ground may not necessarily be a bad sign. It may be a next step to success.
So he's got his head all the way through.
There you go,
Yeah,
Sparky.
good boy. That was very good.
That was excellent.
Very good.
And that was showing trust in you and respect in you, because that is a very challenging obstacle from my experience.
He has things that upset him that are different than what upset the horses. So, as with any new horse, they're faced with entirely different issues. And all the skills you've learned, you have to try out the new things. As Sonia was saying, you have to have a huge grab bag so that you can find the right things. And the more you learn, the less you realize you know. Or something like that. Okay.
Now look at that. Oh, I thought he was going to go right through. Almost. He looked like... There you go.
Good
there
boy.
You go.
That's a good boy.
I call that obstacle the knee scraper, because if you are in saddle, unless your horse is very, very on purpose to go through, you could scrape your knees.
Well, that sounds really pleasant. It's also kind of low. You'd have to be dunking way down to get your head underneath this.
What we usually do is do it on foot at first until we're sure that the horse is no longer afraid of the caution tape. And then we inch our way through as soon as we're confident the horse is not
You want to come
afraid
through?
of going through. There you go.
Good. Okay, what about this direction? Huh? Wait. Wait. Wait.
You wanted him to stop in the middle?
I did. This direction is harder for him. Wait. Wait. I want him to be on one side with me on the other. Good. Okay. What do you think? Good boy. I think stopping in the middle would be a little too hard for him. He's done a lot today. I'm just going to walk around these barrels again because they seem to calm him down.
The only obstacles you haven't negotiated today are the sawhorse gates, the big steps, the log and tree stump jump, which is behind that ancient oak tree, and a very, very challenging obstacle which will challenge your patience is teaching Sparky, if you so choose to do, to walk across the 16-foot balance beam that's only 8 inches across.
We can look at it. We find this a big challenge.
To walk across the 8-inch width is easy, but to walk down the 16-foot length with all fours is very, very challenging. And as a matter of fact, the first time I taught a horse to do it, I really thought I would totally fail and never want to try again. But it was so wonderful to get that focus and to get that respect.
Wait.
All the way across the balance beam that I'm continuing to teach all my horses to do it.
Good.
2 feet. Good.
All 4 feet. Good boy, though. Good start. Wait. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Good.
He's kind of understanding what you want. You see, now he has to put one foot in front of the other. Both front and back. Yes.
Good. Come on. Good boy. Good boy.
Over and over again, the natural horsemanship trainers emphasize that horses learn not from pressure, but from release of pressure. So as soon as you get a right answer, release your pressure, approach, retreat, approach again, and you're much likely to get the answer the second time or the third time, rather than applying constant pressure.
Wait. Okay. Can you do this? You can see he's tossing his head again. He's pawing. He knows what I want him to do. And he's quite nervous about this. So if he can get his feet back on again, that will definitely be the end of the lesson for today. I'll give him a lot of praise.
The 2 feet. 2 fronts. Yes, if you can get the 2 fronts. Good boy, Sparky.
Yes.
He's trying to please you.
And no head tossing.
Yes.
No anger.
And he knows that he's giving you the right answer.
Yes.
All right.
He does.
Now, I notice you don't have any treats with you.
Oh, no, I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, good.
I just was so distracted.
Some people don't believe in using treats in training. I certainly do.
Good boy. Good boy.
Well, we have a myriad of challenges ahead, and I hope that you and Sparky would like to come back.
Well, we had a great time. You can see how different he is now than how he was when we walked in.
Look at that body language.
You can't argue with that.
Thank you, Alicia, and thank you, Sparky.
Thank you,
He's
Sonia.
reviewing the balance beam. He's actually doing quite well in improvement.
Okay.
We've got to be very patient, though, and whoops. He knows that he's supposed to put that foot up there.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Come on. All 4 feet.
Yes. See, he's putting one in front of the other. Yes, and he's thinking of putting that back one up there.
His focus has drifted, so if he continues to drift, we'll move on to something else. Because he did well on this a few minutes ago. Step, good. One more, good. Hind feet. Come on, hind foot. Good.
Yes. That hind foot is on there. See, we just have to get it all together and remove the pressure and give a reward. Yes. Now, that's quite an improvement from the other day.
Yes, he's not more, but he's getting a little frustrated. It's a hard move. So we'll start with something else.
Okay, and look what we've done here. He found stepping into the box from the bridge so easy that we decided to make it a little more challenging today. We put in a black tarp.
Okay.
Let's see what he says about. Yes, he's investigating. Very good. So the black tarp is right above the deadfall. And what do you think the next step will be once we've mastered this? So we're going to fill it with water.
Good.
Yes, very nice. That's very trusting. Very investigative, good, but not willing to stand still yet.
But also, I think the added challenge of standing still.
Yes, we did.
Would be a little too much.
Yeah,
and here the tarp is loose.
Yes. he's snorting. Okay, but he's investigating. Tremendously important to allow them to investigate.
Good boy. Yeah. Good boy.
I've had several shows on this, teaching my Morgans to walk into the black abyss, I call it, and especially when it was filled with water. Quite a different task than just walking into a square of deadfall, which they're a little bit more used to dealing with in this obstacle area. Black tarp. Oh, look at that. But you wanted him to stop, huh?
I didn't ask him to stop, actually. I wanted him to go through without me being in it. Now I'll ask him to stop. Good boy. I think at this point, for me to get him to stop, I need to be in there so I can apply pressure to him. I'll see if I can ask him to stop from the outside, but I'm not sure I can. Good boy. For him, it's really important to stop between obstacles also. Okay. Good.
Good, Sparky.
Good boy. Good boy. So I think he passes this obstacle.
Oh, absolutely. And then, look at, he's licking his lips. What are the signs of stress-free response? Licking lips, blinking eyes.
Dropping his head.
Yeah, right, dropping his head, cocking his back leg, and a nice deep sigh, which sometimes is hard to hear on the camera. So if I hear it, I usually say, all right, there's that nice deep sigh. And you know what? Look at his eyes. He is not showing stress at all. And as a matter of fact, he's trying to figure it out. Is this some kind of a toy or what? He's biting at it. Yesterday, when we were working with Lotus, he's always been very afraid of tarps. He finally realized that that blue tarp that's hanging there on that tree behind Sparky, which was on the ground, was a toy. So he played with it, and we were very pleased that he no longer found it to be a spooky object.
Okay.
All right, now, we didn't do the other day, we didn't do the sawhorse gates.
Okay.
And we did that with Eve in saddle after we worked with Sparky the next day. And we found that Eve had no problem, and she's done it before, she had no problem going through the gate, but we had a lot of trouble once we got through to get her haunches to move over so we could put the rope gate back on its PVC pipe receiver. We had to deal with moving those haunches over in Eve's stress for quite a while. And we know we have to practice that some more. Let's see what Sparky has to say.
Okay. I'm holding on to the rope gate because in a real-life situation, I don't want to drop it if I'm on my horse's back.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to move over smoothly and stand next to the gate.
Yes, and if you watch Eve's program from the other day, you'll see that for safety reasons we did have to drop it. And always safety comes number one. But then we got it so that she would very slowly and laboriously turn her haunches for us, get us back in position to put the gate back on its receiver. And then we said, okay, we know this is something we have to practice.
And also, typically when you're on their back and doing the gate, you'd be working from the center of the horse.
Yes, and you're going to have to get those haunches over. See, that was the hard part. You're not going to be able to reach to put the rope gate back on its PVC pipe until you can get your horse to agree to be parallel to the gate, to the sawhorse gates, and move up small steps so that you can be in position to put the loop of the rope back on the PVC pipe. So it's just a matter of teaching your horse to move the various body parts.
The other day we also didn't go over the logs.
Yes. Now, first step over the low log. Yes.
And since we're supposed to be a trail horse and not a jumping horse, he needs to be able to step over pretty high logs.
Right, and Lotus was able to step over at least the low part of the stump, not the high part, but the low. Without going into a jog. Let's see if Sparky can do it. Yes, he has to pick his...
He's got those long legs also.
Right, and he has to know that, yes,
I asked him to do it. Oh, a little bit of a hop.
And you can move that sawhorse there if you want to. It's more of a visual block so the horse won't try to skirt the...
It is just walking nicely.
Very nice.
Let's see if he can walk back. Because sometimes on the trail, you're not going to be able to get off.
Absolutely. And you don't want them to jump. You just want them to step over, if possible. Let's see. Yes. Oh, very nice.
Bit of a stretch, but I could have stayed if I were out on the trail.
Okay, I think it's time to move into the other obstacle area and try the teeter-totter, unless there's something here that you want to try. For example, maybe he's not ready for it. He might start bobbing his head. Do you want to try to back around those 3 barrels? Remember yesterday you were able to, or the day before, yesterday you were able to get right and left turns around it with good bends
right. Well,
and no bobbing?
The backing is a great exercise. One thing that I'm not sure, Sonia, and maybe you can tell me, when a horse backs, do I want him bringing his hind legs back around first? In other words, crossing his hind legs over, or do I just want him to swing and move the front legs over and have the pivot kind of be on the back legs?
I can't answer that in the generality. My initial response would be hind legs over is always a nice way to move the haunches and a safe way to move the haunches. But if moving the hind legs over is like overkill, if you just want one hind leg to step up to the other, small steps, and when the time is right, the front legs do the same. Let's just see. Let's see if we can answer that question by doing.
Okay.
And analyzing.
All right, let's see how he does. First, I just walk him around forward so he can be nice and calm and ready for this. And I'm kind of walking in front of him to allow him free movement.
And you see those right-hand turns are really nice now.
Okay.
Now go back around that barrel. Now, how are you going to do that? Your arm extension on his right hip might help him to understand that you want that
right hip
haunches. Yeah.
Okay.
However he can do it. Small steps, crossovers. Yes, very good. And then, yes, that's the issue you'll have, even in saddle, making him understand that he continues to bend around without throwing his forequarters out of the bend. Very nice.
To be continued in part 3. Our cast of characters: Sadie and Eve, Sammy, Rusty and Susie, www.thesocolos.com.